Hey there, Mark, Action Figuratorium, and today I'm going to be using this playset, which I repainted slightly to use as a background set. I'm going to be explaining the slapdash technique that I use to take a hunk of plastic and get it up to looking somewhat visually cool on photo camera. So stay tuned for this. Hey there, I'm Mark. I am the Action Figuratorium. I collect toys. I also like to photograph them. I run a studio here in Milwaukee, Oregon. And one of the play sets which I've been using a little bit is this Imaginext multifunctional play set that involves a police section, a fire section, and a rescue section, i.e. hospital. And not really sure why I got this other than the fact that, that it was $4.99 at the time, and I thought it might be kind of cool for something. And sure enough, I was doing a little photo session with the original first Mezco toy when they were Aztec toys, this Maria Metropolis figure, and I wanted something kind of Art Deco behind her, just to sort of fill in the space. And I pulled this thing out, and of course it's got these two wonderful little lamps on this brick building with this cool sort of metal fixture on the door. And I thought, that might work, but you don't ever want to go into battle with this unpainted, because it tends to be sort of like a bright piece of plastic that will steal attention from the subject. So what I like to do is pick two colors of paint and a wash, and one of the colors is dark and one of the colors will be kind of lighter. And what you do is you just go through your play set and you pick obvious things that you want to highlight with them. For example, I use the brown around the trim of the door. Of course, I use it on these metal bars that go around the windows, etc. Some other fixtures up here. And then I took the other color, the desert yellow in this case, and I just went and I hit sort of the sort of what would be kind of metal or shiny things, all like little posts here and there, little fixtures on the wall that are sticking out, all these like little metal pieces. Of course, these little metal pieces as well. And I got it looking pretty good. And then the technique that I like to use is to put a wash on, but instead of the traditional sort of get it in the grooves and kind of dab it up on the surface if you can, I like to just let it sit on like it's kind of chimney soot, right? Because I find that will darken the glaring colors. Like, for example, on this Sesame Street playset that I redid, right? It's got a lot of orange, and the orange will distract from the subject as far as like where the eye goes in the photo. And so if you can mute that orange and make it not so neon and sort of turn it down, it really pulls it back. So in the case of this, it has a very ugly, dirty wash all over it. It looks like chimney soot. It makes it look like this thing is much more ancient than it is. In fact, you might even think that maybe I didn't even apply this dirt, that it just became dirty, and that's kind of cool too. Now, the main thing you need to realize about these sets when you're photographing them is that you're never ever going to frame up the whole set per se. You're only ever going to have, like a small chunk in view that you're going to look at, something that looks kind of visually interesting, and you never want to give away the full game. You're just going to see part of the wall, part of the window at the time, maybe a little bit of the the lamp in the background, things like that. I think that's the best way to use these play sets, is to just sort of push them in until you get kind of a weird, cool combination of colors and angles going on. Now, the last thing I want to say about taking Imaginext, or any play sets for that matter like this, as you can see, although it is 3D, it's kind of 2D in a way. You can flip it around. Sometimes there's cool stuff on the insides that you can use for sets. There's like a balcony here that possibly could be used. There's like not a very good looking, but like a jail cell here that you might be able to use. Probably not. But the main thing about these is they have these windows, these open windows, and so you need to put something behind them. And you don't want it to reflect light necessarily or put a glare, so you're not going to use anything shiny, you're not going to use anything glossy, you're not going to put gels or anything. You might want to take some little pieces of cardboard and paint them 12% gray or 12% gray and add a little bit of blue, and just use them to stop up the windows so that when you film it or shoot it, it just looks kind of a dark color. Of course, you can just lay construction paper, whatever you want behind it. Sometimes I'll put a bounce card, a silver or gold bounce card behind it, and use it as kind of a weird, sparkly background that's sort of out of focus. I think that's kind of cool. But either way, you should be prepared to stop these up so that you can't see whatever's behind it, and absolutely nothing wrong with that. So this is just one example of how you can slapdash your way into a playset that looks kind of cool in the background. When I shot this with the Maria from Aztec, their Silent Screamer line, I had only put the wash on. I hadn't added the brown or the desert yellow to it. So the few shots that I have, which I did with one of those Mezco Mondays in mind, using the grub, just has the wash on it, but we're going to have some up-and-coming shots of this thing being used for another round where I'm going to be doing all of the Maria action figures that have ever been produced, with the exception of that Sideshow Collectibles one that's $200. Sorry, you're not coming aboard. But everything else, including the Super 7 one, Bionica, which is some sort of a weird follow-up to the Aztec one, of course, and I'm even going to use the C-3PO Ralph McQuarrie concept as well. We're going to have kind of a robot fest, and we're going to use this dog a lot. So with that, over and out, and I will see you